it's a story, especially for newer investors just getting started, and they're going through this like A2P of I can't get my phone working, I can't get text messages working. We all run into those problems in different areas all the time, and we just have to push, right? We got to just keep pushing through the hard. Well, my very first deal was from a system that I built, talking about things that didn't work, or they worked, but I didn't have insight on them. I built a text blast thing before text blasting was really a thing inside of my Podio. And it was great until I hit play and didn't test my creation character out.
Hey, welcome back to the Peak Podcast. I'm your host, John Nolan. One of the questions we get most often is, does the team behind the software actually understand my business? And I'm sure you can understand where that question comes from. I know I've said that before with people. Today, we're going to answer that by talking to someone who lives in both worlds. Mark Carpenter is an experienced wholesaler who's been in the trenches of real estate for years. I don't even know how long he's been in it yet. But he's also a key part of the team here at Peak. Mark, I want to pull back the curtain today. We're going to talk about what it's like trying to balance high volume wholesaling with high volume systems, high level systems, and how your experience on the phones and in the field actually dictates the features that we build in Pete. Mark, welcome
Love
to the
it.
show.
Thanks. Love it, man.
Mark, thank you. And I really appreciate you joining us. You provide a lot of unique insight for our customers, and you can connect with people on all kinds of levels. But if they haven't already talked to you, which a lot of our viewers may not have talked to you before, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. Born and raised right here in Oklahoma, same as John. And I've been in real estate now since about 2018, and I've got three amazing kids, ranging from 8 years old up to 23, 24. And uh, I love real estate. And then when I saw Pete, I was like, holy crap, this is like what I was trying to build in Podio for, gosh, 3 or 4 years. Uh, I don't even, you don't want me to go down that rabbit hole.
Gotcha. So, awesome. So you've wholesaled quite a bit. I know you've done a little bit of subject to, and you've done various things. Um, and I don't want this all to be about Pete. We're going to talk about Pete. I'm sure it's going to come up. That's what you and I talk about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But I don't want this just to be on Pete. Is that fair?
Okay. Fair with me, man.
Cool. But a question I say that, then I'm going to ask you a question right about Pete. Before you had a system like Pete, what was the one manual task that made you just want to pull your hair out, cut your beard off, and go out of business?
Oh my God. KPIs on people in the field, your acquisitions. Um, for the most part, I had pretty decent KPIs when we were doing a lot of cold calling because of the cold calling softwares and things. But, making sure your guys had, uh, put the notes in the property, has actually set the appointment in their calendar so they didn't forget it. Um, and then just like, how many calls did you make? How many offers did you get out? Like, what did you actually get done for me as a manager to look at it and go, hey, we can actually see what's happening in our business. And I think that's one thing of many that Pete does really well at a level that doesn't require human intervention on those KPIs. I would spend hours at the end of a day trying to figure out what's happening in my business.
And that, I'm sure, was frustrating, wasn't it?
Yes. It, yeah, frustrating is a good word for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know at one point, this was a number of years ago, I found out that some of our VAs and part of our acquisitions team were spending 30 minutes or more every day calculating their KPIs. And I about lost my mind. It was like, what the hell? That's ridiculous. I mean, we do all this work on the computer. It should be, we were filling them into Google Sheets at that point. It was like, you should just have a place to look and input it. And it was, well, to get the number of calls, we had to go into our phone system. To get the number of new leads, we had to go into our CRM. But that didn't always match up with what would come in from the website versus phone because, well, there may be a spam call or a vendor call or, a contractor looking for work call. And I was like, I'm paying you 30 minutes a day or more every single day to fill out this Google sheet that should just be there. I mean, the data's all there. It should just, people thought I was crazy. It should just magically have it. No, problem was that it wasn't all connected. It wasn't all in one place. So I feel you. That can be very, very frustrating. Then as the entrepreneur, I have to go in after the fact and look at them. And then I'm sure you probably had this. I know I had this at least once, probably 50 times. They said that we had 25 new leads in the last 2 days, but I only see 3 or 4, whatever the case is. What the hell am I missing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Or um, the cold caller said he set so many appointments, but nobody can find where they got set.
Mm-hmm.
They got set in another system, and then they didn't
Yep.
talk to each other. And yeah, I just and that's one thing I see a lot with new people that come into Pete. That I think sometimes people haven't ran into those roadblocks to see how valuable Pete is yet. Does that make sense?
I think so, but can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I see some people come in and, um, I'll be asking them what their deal flow looks like or, what their business looks like. And they can't really give me hard numbers. They can't give me what's actually
Mhm.
happening
Yeah.
inside the business.
Gotcha. Yeah, they don't know. They're going off of assumptions and feelings rather than hard, actual facts.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. As
Gotcha.
opposed to I can pull
Gotcha.
up IHB in your company and we can see, everything that's happened this month, this quarter, this year. That's uh that's one of my favorite things about Pete.
All right
I
there.
love I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I'm gonna shift a few questions here. I'm just gonna feel like I'm just like popping them off at you, probably, but we'll try to make it feel like it's just a conversation. Um, Ghost leads. It's not a term that you and I use on a daily basis, so I'm trying to throw you some curveballs here. But why do most wholesalers lose, 30-40% of their leads before they even get on the first phone call with them?
That is a very good question. And I think it's because, I like to explain it like this. You put things inside of buckets, right? So if a new lead comes
Okay.
in and John is supposed to call that new lead and he doesn't call it, what happens after that? What's the next thing inside your business to happen? And I think people think of it too broad. Like, okay, well, I got X amount of leads and I went on this many appointments, but there's a lot of things that happen between lead and appointment. So when it comes to ghost leads, you have to have systems and processes to make sure that you're following up properly and also not to seem like you're spamming somebody.
Yeah, that's a big key. I mean, something that you deal with quite a bit. And I probably shouldn't take off my hat because it shows off my crazy hair. Um, but something you deal with quite a bit is A2P. And
Oh God.
spam is a big thing. People don't I forget the hopefully you're getting to the people. If people
Right.
don't have their templates or their responses in a good form, they're never even going to get to the seller. So that is a huge aspect. Once you do get to them, you don't want to come off as ingenuine or just as an obvious canned response. That's why I like throwing in crazy things like just random, like, hey, did you see the football outside?
I
Somebody's gonna look
love
at me like, what are we talking about? But it actually gets them to open it.
I love that you brought that up because I can't remember. It was a couple days ago. We were in the office. I think we were on a Zoom call with somebody explaining um, some templates and or no, I think it was a workflow, and you were like, "Oh, we sent a Merry Christmas workflow or something like that." Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, that was one that we sent out just to throw to make things different, kind of break the rhythm, break the pattern interrupt. That's what it's called.
as soon as you said that, you know how my mind works. I'm an idea guy, right? I'm just like, oh man, I got this idea. I got this idea. Um, but I was like, you know what? I wonder if we have people's birthdays. Everybody likes to get a birthday text or a task to call somebody on
How
their birthday.
funny would it be to send a text? Yeah, that's a great point. How funny would it be for certain sellers? Now you have to make sure you have things in place like tags or something. But there's those sellers that you deal with like, oh, they would totally do well with a hey, happy 21st birthday. You send it to some people are gonna be like, okay, this
Yeah,
isn't working with me. But on those people that you have that rapport with, you can set up things like that.
yeah,
Or hey, happy Wednesday, and you send it to them on Friday. And these
yeah.
sound stupid, but they're pattern interrupts.
They
That's why I
are,
love stuff like that.
and it makes you look and feel what you are, which is genuine. You're trying to help somebody, and you're sending out something not to, hey, can I get a deal, but hey, we actually care about you.
You know what? I'm going to use one of these. I'm going to, there's a few people I need to text that I chatted with this week. And I think I may text one of them and be like, hey, I just threw you an elephant. Did you catch it? And see what happens. Just, anyways, I get off subject. Um, at what deal volume would you say a wholesaler should stop doing the marketing, the calling, maybe the closing themselves?
Okay. Um, that's a tough one for me. I probably got out of that role too soon, like, especially if you'd asked my old business partner, Andrew Cross, one of our good friends. Um, he'd be like, dang, Mark, you're
Hey,
dang
that's
good
good.
on. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, hey, that's good. That's good insight. Because everybody in our space, it seems like always tries to portray that they've done everything perfect all the time, and having an example of sometimes that it didn't work perfect is a good example. So you got off the phones too soon.
Yes, 100%. I I mean, you see me in P. I love systems. I love system work. I love operations. Hey, how this thing turns this way to make this do that. That's like where I love to be. But I'm actually pretty good at sales, and I'm pretty good at building relationships with people, because if you don't get the relationship, you won't get the deal. I believe that. And a lot of people are just trying to get
Very good
deals
point.
done without actually Pace says it, find the bunnies, find what's really driving that seller's motivation. Because if you don't find it and then tease out every objection they're going to have through conversational, like, just empathy and figuring out what they're facing and all their different options that they have in the marketplace, then you're going to miss something in your due diligence. And when you need to cut that seller down by 15
Mm-hmm.
grand, they're not going to like it. They're going to feel like a transaction. I don't even remember what the
Yep.
question was, John, or
Yep.
if I
Yep.
answered it.
You did. It was, I was asking about when, at what volume should somebody stop doing like the marketing, the calling, and perhaps the closing themselves? Because um, it's one thing to, it's scary enough when you're a solopreneur, and then different people different take different paths. Some people hire a VA right away to do the calling or the lead management. All right, so many different strategies.
Yeah.
Um, and so, at what point do people step back? And I think it really depends on the person's goals and also where they are on what they can afford. I know years ago when I was new full time, I thought that my first hire should be another acquisitions person. My mindset was, well, that way I can sell, we can buy more, sell more, and we'll have more funds. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody challenged me that what my first role should be, and we called him the person a coordinator, an office coordinator back then, but basically a lead manager. It should be that support person first, because
Mhm.
I was doing very well in acquisitions. And so taking that stuff that I hated anyways off my plate actually was going to be a bump in revenue because I'd be able to focus my time over there. So I think it depends on where people are um, on when, but it's a very, I have a hard time putting a number on it by myself. So it's kind of an unfair question for me to ask, but I like to ask it of people because a lot of times people do have a very strong opinion of what deal volume somebody should be at before they start adding on team members.
Well, I love that you said a support person, right? In the general term of real estate, having somebody manage those things. Um, I was trying to get acquisitions managers, and I made the mistake of making acquisitions managers make lead manager calls. You want to burn an acquisitions manager quick, you make them make lead manager calls all the time. And so I think one of
Yep.
the one of the big mistakes I made there was not getting the office coordinator or like you said. But I want to throw a question back at you. Um,
Okay.
in into Pete for when you hired me as support, what it allowed you to do um, as far as operations, and then kind of correlate that to how it went with your real estate business as well. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, that does. That's a great, right? And it's a great segue. Um, for me, it allowed me to be more involved again with our development team and work on growing the tech side of it instead of, I don't want to say dealing with, that sounds wrong, instead of spending as much time on the support tasks. Support, most technology companies take support for granted. They honestly view it as just an expense. They don't view it as anything else. They don't view it as a branding. They don't view it as advertising, which they it isn't directly, but there's a reason why we invest heavily in support, and that's if you take care of your customers, you put out a good product. Okay, I think Pete is an amazing product.
I agree.
Is it the only good product out there? No, it's not. There are others that are good. I think ours is better, but there's others that are good. But what really sets us aside is our support, our dedication to our subscribers, that you're going to get a real person. Now, do we have AI tools to help us? Yes. But are you going to get actual support? And that was evidence. I'm not going to put the person on spotlight, but you and I were talking earlier. I read you an email that I got yesterday from somebody who was on Pete, left, and now they're going, "Ooh, hey, let's revisit this." You actually have support. Your system isn't perfect, and I'm fine with that. I mean, there is no perfect system.
No,
No matter what every salesperson ever says, nothing's ever perfect. But they recognize that we are here for them, and we want to have great and amazing support. And I think that's where that came from. But anyways, getting back to your question, why did I? I think that was the question.
hmm
I was spending so much time on support. I needed to be able to grow the software because software, I mean, that was almost a year ago. software development has just gone up, like 30 times in speed in the last 11 months. If I wasn't able to be involved and guide our team, then we'd be not able to keep up. Again, this is not a question trying to put anything on Pete, okay? But you've seen just about every CRM under the sun.
Mhm.
You've spent years in Podio. I know you've done a lot in GHL and others.
Mhm.
And features and Pete could fall into this as well. That's fine. But what's the number one, as far as CRM and software solution, the number one shiny object that you see that wholesalers buy but never actually use?
Yes. Um,
I like giving you these hard questions.
yeah, that's really good. I feel like we as investors, we all want easy buttons, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can I never have to do that again? Um, and the I see a lot of the dispoing platforms. I can't remember the name of one of them, but it was like astronomically expensive, and I was like, that's basically an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. And so I think um, I think what a lot of systems try to do is they try to solve, and not like that any of them are bad. They do what they do, but they try to solve a problem, but they don't understand how it's all linked together inside of a system. So a lot of times you will have something working over here. The SMS works
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to send text messages through GHL or you're able to see this or whatever. But then when you want to go see tracking on it, oh, I've got to now somehow build something else to see what's happening with that system, or I have to become a software engineer. I mean, I became a software engineer because I was trying to build um, a text messaging platform inside of Podio, and it kind of didn't really exist. And I had limited knowledge. And so, I mean, I definitely didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And, um, but I mean, I did it. And, funny story about that, if you'll allow me some time. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
my first actual deal, it's one of my favorite stories to tell. Because it's a story, especially for newer investors just getting started, and they're going through this like A2P of I can't get my phone working, I can't get text messages working. We all run into those problems in different areas all the time, and we just have to push, right? We got to just keep pushing through the hard. Well, my very first deal was from a system that I built, talking about things that didn't work, or they worked, but I didn't have insight on them. I built a text blast thing before text blasting was really a thing inside of my Podio. Um, and
That's cool.
it was great until I hit play and didn't test my creation very well. You already know where this is going, John, because I think you've been down that road a couple times. Um, but
I have an
I
idea.
I sent it was supposed to be a 20-day or 20-week drip campaign with templates and everything like that. It was supposed to go out every week. Well, it went out every minute for 20
Ooh.
times. And so I had my script down, John. I am so sorry. We had technical difficulties. Everything's broken. I am so sorry. But I had to answer the calls, right? Because calls were coming in. And maybe I'd get a lead. And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. And this lady's like, no, I want to sell a house. And then, now keep in mind, this is my first deal outside of working for somebody else as an acquisitions person. So I'm owning my own company. I built a piece of software. I've got all these calls
Oh
coming in.
goodness! So you
People are
were
mad at me.
raw on several.
I was like, I thought the world was going to end. I'm like, everybody hates me. I've pissed off everybody. I've probably pissed off the other investors who are probably getting this too, and all the head garbage that happens. But this lady goes, "No, Mark, you caught me at a really good time. I don't care that your software broke. I really would like to sell my house." And I said, "Okay, hold on. Can you give me 5 minutes? Let me get my composure and give you a call back." Well, John, I believe in visualizations, and I was visualizing. Like, I went to a Tony Robbins event, and he's like, "Visualize what you want." I was like, I want a $65,000 deal. That's what I want. That would be life changing for me and my family. And get this, I went on the appointment. Now, I had acquisitions training because I worked for Speedy House Buyers for 2 years, acquisitions. So I knew how to put houses under contract. I go on the appointment. I buy the house. I buy the beater car on contract that's inside the garage uh, with that house. And I sold that, I think, to Jack. No, no, we sold that. Um, we sold that on the MLS. Uh, and I made 64,300 something dollars on that deal, which that
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
matter, but that's a pretty big deal for your first deal. And
Yeah, no
luckily,
kidding.
read I'd read some really good books about putting money back and putting money aside. And I did something really hard. Me and my family hadn't made any money in 3 or 4 months, and the profit first principle, I took 50% of it and put it in an account to do marketing. I think we took maybe $5,000 or $6,000 home, and I had local house buyers. That was the beginning. That was the first deal, and it funded marketing. And so it funded me to start buying, or getting wholesalers on the team. It made me feel like I could kind of step away from some of the things and work on the software that I was trying to build at the time. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's one of my favorite stories to tell. The beginnings.
I I did not know that story. That's interesting. And what I think one of the things that where my brain goes when I was hearing you talk about it, is if you weren't authentic with the people and specifically that lady, that could have gone a completely different direction.
Yeah,
But what something messed up, ended up being a pattern interrupt. But something messed up, and I am sorry. Tech made a mistake. I apologize. Instead of just not answering the phone or saying, well, I mean, it happens. Being authentic, I think I'm sure made a contribution there. I would be willing to bet.
which correlates back to Pete's support. Um, I make mistakes every single day, and I'm thankful for your correction and your guidance. And also, when we make a mistake, we tell our clients, like, "Hey, we screwed up here." Like, I've heard you go, "Nope, that was on me. I completely messed that up, but we'll get it fixed for you." I love that, man. That is, like, this isn't all about Pete, but that is integrity.
People can tell when you're bullshitting. You may get away from it or get away with it here and there, but people generally can tell when you're bullshitting them, and eventually it's going to catch up to you. So I just, I don't know. Maybe some people would say I fall on my sword too much, but if we mess up, then I just own up. Hey, we made a mistake. Here we are. Here's where we're going. Um, on a separate realm, we still have we still flip properties here in Oklahoma City, and got
Yeah, it's
a message from our just a few. Um, got a message from some of our team asking if I'd heard anything about some power lines being cut at a property. Because rehab crew went back over. It's the first time somebody been there since somebody removed some trees in the backyard, and the power lines were cut. They came in overhead, and I was like, no. And I'm sure he would have told me about that. So something else is going on.
uh-huh.
That was Tuesday. Then yesterday, I got a text from the tree guy, which I'm normally not involved like in the rehabs, but this one kind of a special circumstance with somebody that used to work for us. I got a text that, hey brother, Um, blah blah blah. Basically, there was an issue with the power lines, and I'm working with OG&E, which is the electric company. I didn't want to bother you, until I had a plan in place, and I was like, okay. Would have been nice for you to have told me this on Friday because we had people go to the house and try to work, and there's no power. Um, I understand wanting to have a plan in place, but there's a time to just say, "Hey, dude, sorry, something effed up. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whose fault it is. Just, hey, this happened. Just so you're aware, I'm working on a solution."
Right.
Adding that at the end, I am working on a solution. People want to feel heard. They want to know what's going on. So whether they're calling you about a problem or you're letting them know in advance, hey, we've got this going on. We have a solution that's being processed, or hey, we don't know what the problem is yet, but we're working on it, goes miles.
Yeah.
And
And
that'll
right
take you
back
to the moon
to
or back because people feel real.
100%. And that, same thing in your acquisitions, right? And your dispo, and like communicating with people and letting them know, oh, we had a hiccup at title. We're working through it. I know we set a close date for this time, but uh, you know, some things happened. And I love one thing you do is you're like, we're not gonna say, well, it's Twilio's fault or it's H2P's fault. Like we're working on solving the solution, um, but we're also owning the responsibility that we have in the solution.
Yep. I love it. I love it. I think I had a problem with my audio, so if I cut you off there, I apologize, Mark.
Oh, you're good.
Um, well, we're about at the end of our time here. Before I give us a closing, anything you want to share with the audience, or any words of wisdom you want to depart with?
Um, if you guys, I would just say if you haven't checked out Pete, reach out to us. We'd love to. Uh, you know, I am in Pete sales, but I'm very low pressure, and I love to see if there's uh, a way. I love when I sit down with a new investor and I show them what we have. And before I do that, though, I always ask, what does your business look like? And so that's free. So I've got a
Mhm.
little bit of experience in the business, and if I can sit down and help you, close 3 or 4 more deals, just because we look at your systems and your operations and we can improve them, I'd love the opportunity to.
Hey, Mark, it's been awesome. I love having the insight of your insight of being a wholesaler, then also being on the team here at Pete, working on sales, working on support, keeping our customers working, keeping them making money and moving forward. Um, it's, one thing to build software or work with a software company, but it's an entirely different thing to build it with someone who's actually closing deals and knows what it's like to close deals. Um, for any wholesalers or flippers or buy and hold investors who are listening or watching this, if you're tired of using tools built by people who've never actually talked to a motivated seller, or
Send you
they
to
have
India.
something that they've send you somewhere else, or they have a platform that they just built on top of Podio or GHL or something else, and they can't really, they're always waiting for something to happen to be able to change something. Um, Go to our website, peterei.com. You can grab a demo. You can chat with Mark, get his insights. So um, that's pretty much the easiest way for people to get in touch with you, right? Or is there anywhere else that they can reach out to you at, Mark?
You can also email me at mark@peterei.com. You can reach out to me that way. I would give you my phone number, but I don't know it off the top of my head. Throw it in the show notes, maybe.
It's all good. We'll throw it in the show notes. Awesome. Well, again, Mark, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. And for all you listening, we'll talk to you next week. Take it easy.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.